This is a First Defense Weather Alert.
Well, a happy Saturday afternoon. It's just 3 minutes after 6 o'clock. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter here in the First Defense Weather Center. And we wanted to give you an update on the severe weather that is moving across the region right now. So as you probably looked on social media, we now have a severe thunderstorm warning for much of Chautauqua County. This basically includes the central portion going all the way down to the state line. And it is for this cluster of storms right here that is moving out of Erie and Crawford County, Pennsylvania, and then coming up into the western southern tier. And these storms originally formed way back in Ohio, but we also had some pop-up storms along with that through the afternoon. Again, we're dealing with lots of moisture in the air, so these storms are popping up along with these storms ahead of the cold front. And again, this is something we were talking about all week long, about how there was the potential for this. And the SPC on Monday put us under that day 6 severe weather risk. And we have been talking about this all week long about how this could very well be the potential. So again, you can notice all the reds in here. That is starting to indicate the higher rain totals. And there also could be some hail within here as well. Earlier, when these storms were moving across Crawford County, PA, we noticed a purple core showing up. And again, that purple core is often always indicative of what could be some large hail. So again, this severe thunderstorm warning for Chautauqua County goes until 7 o'clock. And it is for this cluster of storms you see right here moving out of Corey coming up into Panama. You can see all the lightning strikes here that are associated with it. Now understand, lightning strikes or lightning is not a severe weather indicator. Now, severe storms do produce a lot of lightning, but per the National Weather Service definition, a storm is severe if it is producing winds in excess of 58 miles per hour or greater, hail 1 inch in diameter or larger, or a tornado. That is what makes a thunderstorm severe, and that is the reason why the Weather Service opted to post this severe thunderstorm warning up for basically central and then southern Chautauqua County. The one thing we've learned, and you know when we do weather coverage, we often talk about this, about how sometimes the general public doesn't understand how warnings work. So here's the severe thunderstorm warning polygon, this orange box you see here. You notice if you're in Cassadaga, you are not in this severe thunderstorm warning. Forestville, not. Silver Creek, not. Dunkirk, no. Brockton, no. Fredonia, no. Westfield, no. Ripley, no. Mayville, no. So this is only the section that we're warning for. So understand, you might hear Chautauqua County is under a severe thunderstorm warning. It doesn't mean the whole county. I mean, we haven't warned by counties in I think 15 years. We use these small geometric shapes called polygons, and it is drawn based on where the hazard is and where it's going. You notice how it fans out. It fans out because of the uncertainties in the longer range. Now, what I want to do is I want to take a look at, let's see, do we have the Chautauqua Lake Association camera? If we have that, that might be a good camera to look at. I'm not sure if we have that, but this is Lakeside Park, and this is the camera that's at Lakeside Park in Mayville, and you can see the darker skies coming in. Now, understand, they're not under now if you're in Mayville, you are not under the severe thunderstorm warning. It's for areas just south of you, but you are going to get some rain showers coming on in here, and also the flag kind of standing almost straight kind of gives you the idea of the wind gusts that we have moving as well. You can see the flag there along with the cars moving here. In fact, this camera location is actually at the same spot where a EF3 tornado or an EF2 tornado came across Chautauqua Lake back in 2010 and damaged areas near the lakeshore communities. It was right in this same spot on Lakeside Park. So understand, I'm not going to say we're going to have a tornado today, but this camera is in a good position to catch something because we've had weather hassles on this side of the county before. If we can go back to First Defense Doppler, I wanted to show you another sweep of that. And what I want to do actually is go back here is I want to see if the wind threat product will work. There we go. And this is a product that we have on First Defense Doppler radar. It's an exclusive product. We're the only ones to have this. And basically what this product indicates is it tries to show you where the strongest winds are likely within the storm. And let's put on the probe tool here and see what we're getting for some wind gust potential here. And wouldn't be surprised if we're getting, yeah, you can see right about in here, the core here at about 54 miles an hour right here near Clymer. So again, understand this is at the radar beam height. This is not down at the ground. This uses a bunch of algorithms to try to determine the strongest elements of the storm. And so understand this is at the radar beam height. So the radar beam height down here is about 4,000 feet off the ground. So that's 4,000 feet. So you might not see 54 miles an hour of wind gusts down at the surface, but understand it's still going to be windy, and this could knock down trees and power lines. In fact, earlier in Ontario, we had one fatality from a fallen tree from a line of severe thunderstorms that moved through across Canada earlier today. That line is now north of here and well up into Canada, not going to impact us. But just to show you how when you have gusty winds like this, understand it doesn't just take a tornado to knock down trees and power lines. You can have very strong winds to knock down trees and power lines. So that's why it's not a good idea to blow off severe thunderstorm warnings. That's why you have to kind of read what's in the text of the message. I mean, if you're dealing with 60, 70, 80 mile an hour winds, that could really cause some damage. So just be aware of that. So there could be some gusty winds. I do notice here this lighter shade polygon. This is a special weather statement, and it looks like that they have now included Mayville, Cassadaga, basically almost up to the Lake Erie shoreline in a special weather statement, potentially for these storms that are going to be moving like this. And again, we have a northward component of motion today, so this is moving these storms more to the northeast. So that is going to be the motion on these storms through the afternoon. Wanted to put back on the reflectivity data, and this is what you mostly see when you look at radar. This is base reflectivity. This is the energy of the raindrops bouncing off the radar beam. So this is what you normally see when you look at radar. And again, it's just a whole cluster of rain and lightning strikes and maybe some gusty winds that are associated within that. Now earlier, I did want to back out just a little bit because we did have a tornado warning across Ohio earlier, but it looks like that's canceled. So understand, we have had a couple of tornado warnings associated with some of these storms across northeast Ohio. So I'm not saying we're going to have a tornado warning, but the risk is there. As a matter of fact, really quickly here, I want to put up the Convective Outlook, because that will give you a good idea of what we're looking at. So this is the day one Convective Outlook. And what you see right here, all of this yellow, this is a standard slight risk, or a level 1, or a level 2, excuse me, a level 2 out of 5. All the yellow shade is a slight risk. The darker green is a marginal, a level 1 out of 5. So all of us are still in the slight risk. Now, something I talked about earlier in the week, we talk about percentages and how this stuff doesn't make sense to a lot of people. But this darker green shade right here is a 2% tornado risk. Understand, that is a very low risk for tornadoes, but there is a risk there. Again, we could deal with a small spin-up tornado through the afternoon hours as these storms move on through. So understand, you just have to keep, you just have to keep attention to the weather, and thunderstorms can often produce a lot of surprises. That's why when we say thunderstorms, when it comes to thunderstorms, you what? Expect the unexpected, because what you don't expect happens. So you have to expect that. But there is at least a low-end tornado threat for basically the rest of this evening, and the main timing window is going to be now up until about 7, 8 o'clock. That looks like the time frame. Now, these storms are not moving very fast. They're only moving at about 25, 30 miles an hour. So they're not kind of moving quickly. They're kind of almost creeping along at almost city speed. So understand, these storms don't have red lights. They don't have stop signs. They just keep on trucking. And so these storms are going to continue to move northeast through the next hour or two. This is a live look from the HD News Now cam down in the other box down there. This is the camera that's outside our studio here in downtown Jamestown, and you can already see the street lights have already turned on, and the clouds are starting to thicken up down here as well. And so understand, let's put the radar back on here, because I wanted to show, well, not that one. I wanted the level 2 radar. And while the radar data loads in, there it is. You can see the rain hasn't really reached downtown Jamestown yet, although there is a little bit of a shower reaching across Jamestown right now. Let's zoom in on that and kind of show you what's going on here. Notice a couple lightning strikes that are associated within this as well. So understand, this is going to be part of this same storm here, moving across the northern section of Jamestown, basically from downtown north. Looks like the better chance of where you're likely seeing the rain here. So if you're in Ellicott going out towards the Jamestown airport, going up on I-86 out towards Gary on Route 62 or on Route 60, you're likely going to be seeing this rain heading up to the north. The bigger concern is this cluster of storms over here that are moving across Panama and then coming in from northwestern Pennsylvania. This is a cluster of heavy rain. And again, this could contain some gusty winds and maybe some large hail. And I want to put on the hail threat product very quickly to see if we can measure some of the estimated hail size within here. And let's take a look here. Well, we're not seeing much in the terms of hail, but you can see right about here, we've got about a ½ inch of hail estimated right here within the core of this main storm segment coming over Clymer and then coming up into Panama. So understand, this is a radar estimate. This is not what's actually falling at the ground. And again, you know, these products use a bunch of mathematical algorithms using the radar data. So this is not what you'll likely see down at the ground, but it gives you a good estimation of what is falling at the radar beam height likely. So about a ½ inch worth of hail could be possible down there. And looks like maybe this storm over the northern section of Jamestown could be producing some large hail. You can see we could be dealing with about 1.1 inches of hail. And again, 1 inch size hail is the size of a standard quarter. So per the National Weather Service glossary definition, 1 inch hail or quarter sized hail is enough to cause some damage. So understand, when you get to 1 inch hail, that is now severe hail characteristics. And so there could be some 1 inch hail falling with that storm north of Jamestown going up into Gary on Route 60 heading northward. And there could be a little bit smaller hail with that main cluster of storms over Panama, Clymer moving across the state line. I wanted to check in with the Weather Service chat very quickly. Many of you know, who are longtime viewers of us, know that we are in a real-time chat session with 3 National Weather Service offices, Buffalo State College and Cleveland, and just wanted to check in. This is the live look coming from the Lakewood Sky Cam that is on Fairmont Avenue overlooking Walmart, and you can see the clouds thickening up there along with some of the rain there as well. Not much from the National Weather Service. They are going to continue the severe thunderstorm warning until 7 o'clock for central and then southern Chautauqua County. The Storm Prediction Center will likely be issuing a new severe thunderstorm watch pretty soon. That's the Chautauqua Lake Sky Cam. And again, you can see those dark clouds over the lake. And the Storm Prediction Center will likely be issuing a new severe thunderstorm watch probably within an hour or two. And this watch could likely include the southern tier. And understand, the severe thunderstorm watch that we have in effect now is only in effect for, okay, that's the Chautauqua Lake Sky Cam from the Chautauqua Lake Association. And again, you can see even that wall of rain, it looks like, is going to be coming on in there at that particular location. That's at the boat docks there on the lake there at the Lake Association. And what I want to do is I want to put on the mesoscale discussions onto the radar here very quickly, and they just issued it. So we now have a new severe thunderstorm watch that is in place for the entire southern tier. So this is the mesoscale discussion that I was just mentioning from the Storm Prediction Center. This red area is what's called a mesoscale discussion. It's not really meant for Joe Q public. It's more meant for those of us who work in the, it's more technical, to say the least. There's a lot of technical stuff in there. So we now have a new severe thunderstorm watch that is in place for the southern tier. And we're going to pop on the watches and see if it has come up. Okay, it has not come up on our system yet, but it should be coming up fairly soon. The SPC just issued it just about 10 seconds ago. So this pink area you see back here, that is the original severe thunderstorm watch that stays into place until 10 o'clock for Erie and Crawford County, Pennsylvania's, and then back to the west across northeast Ohio. There is now a new severe thunderstorm watch issued that includes basically all of the southern tier, and I believe this watch goes until... Let me go back to the chat, and it will be in effect until 1 a.m. Now, there is a good chance these storms will be out of the region before 1 a.m., but that's how long the watch will be in effect. So the watch now includes all of the counties in the southern tier, Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, Allegheny counties, and again, it should be popping up fairly quickly. So this pink area you see here is now being expanded eastward to include the southern tier. So that is a severe thunderstorm watch for the entire southern tier until 1 o'clock tomorrow morning, or basically just 1 o'clock overnight tonight. And so that is the situation that we have ongoing now, right now. And we're still dealing with these clusters of storms. And again, these storms are going to continue moving towards the northeast through the overnight hours tonight. And these are going to continue moving towards the northeast. And when these storms do get to your location, you could be dealing with some strong winds, maybe of 60, maybe upwards of 70 miles an hour at times, along with large hail up to 1 inch in diameter, maybe even a little bit larger. And there is a small, I want to stress, small tornado risk. It's small, but there is one there, so it's worth mentioning. So understand, all of this is sparked in association out ahead of the cold front, and I'm actually going to pop the cold front on here to kind of show you where it is in relation to our storms, and you'll get the idea here where our front is. So this is pretty much our front right here. So all of this is sparked out ahead. Okay, there's our new severe thunderstorm watch. It just popped up. So it includes basically much of western New York. And let's zoom back into the region, and we'll show you what's going on here. So this pink area you see right here is now a severe thunderstorm watch until 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's all the counties here that are shaded in pink. So that includes Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, Warren County, Pennsylvania, all of Erie County, including Buffalo, and then areas to the Niagara frontier just south of Rochester, heading out to the east. So more than likely, as these storms continue to move to the northeast, the National Weather Service will likely trim these counties out of the severe thunderstorm watch. So again, even though it continues until 1 o'clock, so we now have 2 severe thunderstorm watches here. So this is going to get confusing, so I want to break it down. The original severe thunderstorm watch that was in effect for Erie and Crawford County, Pennsylvania, back to the west across northeast Ohio, that continues until 10 o'clock. More than likely, the watch will likely be dropped before 10 o'clock as these storms continue to move to the north and northeast. We now have a new severe thunderstorm watch that includes all of our viewing area. Again, the entire southern tier, Warren County, Pennsylvania, going up into the Buffalo metro area until 1 a.m. tomorrow morning. So understand, the Weather Service is continuing to expand the severe thunderstorm watch as these storms continue to progress to the northeast and eventually towards the east. So that is our situation right now. I wanted to zoom back into our severe thunderstorm, one severe thunderstorm that we have, and it's this old cluster of storms moving out of southern Erie County, Pennsylvania, moving across the state line into Chautauqua County. So again, where you see this orange box, this orange polygon, that is your severe thunderstorm warning. The lighter colored polygon, which includes basically Mayville up to almost near the Lake Erie shoreline, is a special weather statement. And okay, so yes. Okay, so getting lots of stuff, but understand, so this is our current severe thunderstorm warning, and this is going to continue until 7 o'clock as these storms continue racing, or not really racing. The forward motion on this, I believe, is about 30 miles an hour. 31 miles an hour is the current storm motion. Let me bring this up for you. So again, this is data coming in from the radar here. So it's estimating a max hail size of about 1 inch with maximum wind gusts of around 60 miles an hour. Understand, could you see winds a little gustier than 60? Yes. Could you see winds a little less than 60? Yes. Could you see hail a little larger than 1 inch? Absolutely. Could you see hail a little less than 1 inch? Absolutely. Understand, they're called max values for a reason. This is what you could see, but understand your data may vary depending on your actual location. And by the way, if you happen to have a rain gauge or a weather station or what have you, and if you happen to have one of those, and you can get us some rainfall reports or maximum wind gusts or what have you, send it to us our way. And also, if you have any pictures or videos of the weather and you can do it safely, send it to us on Facebook, Twitter, and use the hashtag MyLocalWX. Let's take the Chautauqua Lake Association Sky Cam and let's show you kind of what's going on here. So again, the storms are now starting to come on in to Chautauqua Lake, and we're going to be watching this camera simply because this camera kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. The Lakewood Sky Cam, I think, is giving us a good view of some of the rain. Yeah, you can see the rain that's falling here. And so again, you can kind of see the rain that is falling across Lakewood, moving across the region. Now this is the HD News Now Cam, if we can put that up. Because I see, yeah, there we go. This is the HD News Now Cam that we have right here. And this is the camera that's outside of our studio here in downtown Jamestown. So again, this is basically what is coming our way. Now, let's go back to the radar. And I want to check our chat very quickly to see what we've got going on. So again, nothing new yet. They are going to continue this severe thunderstorm warning for central and southern Chautauqua County until 7 o'clock. And it looks like they've actually clipped, this is interesting, they've actually clipped a small portion of Cattaraugus County in this severe thunderstorm warning. This, I think, was actually extended because I don't believe any part of Cattaraugus County was under the initial severe thunderstorm warning. But you can kind of see that orange banner right, or that orange polygon there includes that small little sliver of Cat County just to the west of Randolph. So understand, but more than likely this severe thunderstorm warning will be expanded into Cattaraugus County as these storms continue moving to the north and northwest. Let's take the Randolph Peaches and Cream Sky Cam, and this will give you an idea of kind of what's coming our way. And there we go. This is the Randolph Peaches and Cream Sky Cam, and you can see those dark clouds overhead as the storms are now starting to move on in to the region. So again, we have all these cameras, and that's the one thing that I think in the weather business, we've kind of learned over the years is, we can show you radar all day long, but it's what's actually happening is what, you respond to. So if we can show you, live video of something, that would be great. And, we have a lot of cameras, but we can't have cameras on every weather feature that we need you to respond to. So, we try our best to get a lot of these things on camera, but, sometimes we just have to work with radar. And especially around here, when we get into nightfall, we have severe storms at night. You can't see anything. You have to wait for lightning to illuminate the sky, and it's just a mess. So sometimes, we do the best we can with the cameras, but sometimes we have to rely on radar. So let's go back to the radar and just kind of show you kind of what's, again, going on here. So again, these cluster of storms are continuing to move, again, to this north-northeast motion. That seems to be the main segment of motion these storms are moving, to the north-northeast. And these storms are going to continue moving in that north to northeast direction through the overnight, or through the afternoon, and then through this evening. And again, note the lightning counter here, almost 200 strikes. And again, this is a 10-minute interval that the lightning counter does, 10-minute interval for lightning strikes, almost 201 lightning strikes now from this whole cluster of storms that are moving on in. So just wanted to check in with the comments. And again, I am watching the live stream here. I've got about 45 different screens open on my computer right now. So, but that's what you got to do when you're in weather coverage. You just got to look at everything and just try to balance it out the best you can. So I'm checking the comments, and People are saying that it's starting to rain, hearing thunder in Perrysburg, which is in northwestern Cattaraugus County. Yes, it is. So again, just checking the comments here. So I do have it open along with our weather service chat. And, I've just got like 35 different things here that I'm looking at. So again, the double box you see behind me, you see the camera overlaid behind the radar image. That is the HD News Now cam. Again, that is just outside of our studio here in downtown Jamestown. For those of you who don't know, we are located in the Willow Bay Commerce Center building here in downtown Jamestown. That's where our studios are located, and that's where this camera is overlooking 3rd Street, kind of looking back this way is kind of giving you the idea. So well, let me see if I can do it for you on the radar to kind of give you an idea of kind of like what we're looking at here. So we'll zoom right in to the radar here. So here's downtown Jamestown right here. So here's Jamestown here. Our building is probably right about here, and we're kind of looking back off this way. So that's kind of where we're looking with that camera. So again, like I've mentioned, we have all these cameras, and sometimes we try our best to get things on camera, but we have to do the best we can. So again, these storms again are just continuing to creep on by. That's the special weather statement. I want to put up that severe thunderstorm warning, if it will allow me to do it. There we go. So again, just moving on by 31 miles an hour. Again, it's how fast it's moving. It's basically moving at a city's pace. That's how fast or how slow these storms are moving today. And that has also kind of helped to increase maybe a limited flooding risk as well, because these storms are slow moving. So they will have the potential to lay down some heavy rainfall because they're not moving pretty quickly. One thing I do want to check, because I did mention one in our chat had mentioned this. Wanted to take a look at the velocity data here, just to kind of see what we're looking at. And no, not really. And maybe the storm relative velocity might give us a better look. And no, there's no rotation here. So this is what's called velocity. And for those that don't know, the Doppler radar, Doppler radar is a magnificent tool, but it's hard to believe that Doppler radar was commissioned in 1988. So these radars are old girls, and but they're still the gold standard for weather radar technology, basically across the United States, and some may argue across the world. The NextRad Doppler radar network that the National Weather Service has is one of the best, and but they're a little old, but they're still some of the best. But one of the things we got with the NextRad network is Doppler capabilities. It's hard to believe that the radar back in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s, we didn't have this technology. So basically, velocity shows you how the water droplets are moving relative to the radar beam, either away from the radar or towards the radar. And that velocity shows you kind of any sort of rotation that is going on within the storm. And this is something we got with Doppler radar. And again, there's no velocity couplets here, anything that shows signs of rotation. So again, there's likely going to be no tornado within this, but again, with that low threat, it is there. Now, this is, what look is this? Because I see on my preview monitor here, I'm seeing something, and I'm not, okay, this looks like it's, okay, this is downtown Jamestown from, this is downtown Jamestown from the Northwest Arena. You can see the lightning strikes here. So this is a look from the Northwest Arena. And I want to say this is from Bronson Rasmussen. And again, Bronson is on staff here, and he anchored the show a couple of times this week. And so this is from the Northwest Arena overlooking the city of Jamestown. So again, you can see that lightning strike there in that last frame. So again, this is kind of what it looked like just a couple minutes ago here in downtown. So that is that. So let's go back to the radar. And again, the cluster of storms continue moving to the northeast. And these storms will continue moving towards the northeast at a city pace, 30 to 35 miles an hour. The good news is, sometimes when we do weather coverage, we have to bounce back and forth between 3 or 4 different storms. This is it. This is the only warning that we have in effect right now. And so that's kind of why we're kind of focusing on it solely. But again, creeping along at a city's pace. That is pretty much the movement of these storms. And you can see the lightning counter. I'll just zoom into the warning here. And this will give you an idea of just the lightning strikes within the general area. So we're looking at about 50 lightning strikes just in the general area of this severe thunderstorm warning as the storms continue moving on through. Now, so far as these storms have moved on through, I have not seen any reports of damage. Now, simply just because we haven't had reports of damage doesn't mean there hasn't been damage. You know, that's the one thing that, sometimes we have to be careful about, is the fact that because we don't see any reports of damage doesn't mean there hasn't been damage. Sometimes, the damage reports can be delayed. So just because we haven't seen anything doesn't mean something hasn't happened. So, and we highly encourage you to do this. And I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. I know the producer is going to yell in my ear for this, but I just want to go off on a tangent just for a second about how when you see damage, posting it on social media just doesn't, if you see a tree down and you post it on social media, that's great or whatever, but it's not reaching the proper authorities. So that is why when you see damage, make sure if you post it to tag us in it. We will see it, we will relay it, or call the police or call National Weather Service. Their number is widely available online. You can call the main office and send in your report of, hey, got a tree down wherever. So, so just posting it on social media doesn't do a lot of good. You have to make sure it, it reaches the proper authorities. Otherwise, it won't count as a storm report. And sometimes we have had issues, not here locally, but across the country, we've had issues of this where people will show something of damage, maybe posted on social media, and it doesn't get relayed to the proper authorities, and it's a missed tornado track. That has happened on occasion. So again, just make sure if you see damage, make sure it gets reported. Because again, we don't know what's going on. Again, we're here in a studio. I don't know what's going on in your backyard. You're the only one who knows what's going on in your backyard. So that's why if you see something, you have to report it. It is very important that you do that because sometimes things get missed, things don't get into the storm database, and when things don't get in the storm database, there's no record of that happening. So that's why you have to report every inch of damage that you see from a storm. Very important. So what we're going to do is what you're seeing behind me is First Defense Doppler radar. And I'll just zoom out the radar very quickly here just to kind of give you, again, a basis of what's going on. Now, across the state line, across Erie and Crawford County, Pennsylvania, there's no more severe thunderstorm warnings. That's the good news. But I don't see any special weather statements either. So maybe what's happened here is with the first round of storms that have came on through, maybe this southern leg of the storms have kind of worked the atmosphere over where they're not really going to get into that juicy air mass. Understand, before these storms popped, we had lots of sunshine earlier today. Instability values were pretty high. So, all of the meteorological stuff that we look for during a severe weather outbreak was pretty there. And so this is why this was no surprise that this kind of happened today, simply just because of how hostile the environment has been. And but again, you get into that rain-cooled air and the rain stabilizes the atmosphere. So maybe what's happening down here, I can't say for sure, but maybe what's happening is the southern leg is likely starting to weaken off a little bit. Still looks kind of nasty just on the reflectivity display, but maybe these storms aren't carrying as strong of wind gusts as they were carrying, or might not have the hail potential because the storms have worked the atmosphere and kind of stabilized it enough. So to the north, no. Understand, Cattaraugus County, look towards Cattaraugus County, nothing. I mean, we have had no storms there. And so again, all that juicy atmosphere, again, you get these storms plowing on in there, they're going to hit that juicy air. And again, that's where that severe thunderstorm potential comes into play, when you have that juicy air. Getting a report that there's hail south of the city. likely within this severe thunderstorm cluster. And I'm going to tell you, if there's hail, it's probably going to be in this cluster right here between Lakewood and Frewsburg. This section right here is likely where the hail is falling. In fact, let's put on the hail threat and see if we can pick out where the hail could be falling. Yeah, so the hail would likely be in this red core right here south of the city. And let's put on our probe tool and see what we've got in terms of hail size. Again, getting close to that 1 inch mark. Again, just south of the city here, we've got 0.8 inches. Again, that's close to the 1 inch, the 1 inch threshold for severe characteristics. So there likely could be some hail associated within this. And on my other radar over here, I want to check. We have multiple radar sources, and the one thing that's important is you have to have multiple radar sources. You can't put your trust into one radar source, because if one fails, you always have the backup. So there's a product that is called VIL, Vertically Integrated Liquid, and it shows you the potential of where there could be some large hail. And there could be some large hail, again, south of the city. We're pegging at about 35 to 40 kilograms per cubic meter on the VIL product. So that could be some hail there. Now I'm seeing, this is video, if we can take that, thank you. This is video coming from Mitch Bellinger. He's on I-86 westbound going into Falconer. So again, this is Mitch Bellinger, who's one of our storm chasers. He is on I-86 heading eastbound towards, or westbound in Falconer, and he is going to be coming up into these storms, and you can see the rain coming on in on I-86 as well. Now, something we talk about during weather coverage as well. Don't go out and do this. Now, I know sometimes people will say, well, you tell us not to storm chase, but you've got a guy out there chasing. Understand, Mitch has been trained. Mitch understands how to stay safe. He has been trained for a long time. He is not going to put himself or anybody else, and we might have lost his video. So if we can go back to the radar, thank you very much, we'll see if we can reestablish his connection. And again, once you get out towards the rural areas, out past the city, cell service does get a little spotty. So again, we'll try to see if we can reestablish Mitch's connection. But again, a lot of times we talk about this, about how, don't go out and storm chase unless you've had the proper training. Mitch is not going to put himself or anybody else in danger. He knows how to stay safe. He's going to come up on the southwest of a storm and try to intercept from the south and southwest. That's the best way to do it. You don't want to, because again, if you, unless you've been properly trained, you can get into trouble in a very quick hurry, and we just don't want that. We don't want anybody out there, getting injured or killed. We don't need that. So just understand that. It looks like we might have Mitch's live stream back, so if we can take that. Or is this Sean? Because I believe Sean Sweatman is out too. Okay, this is Sean. So if we can take this. Okay, so this is Sean Sweatman again. He's another one of our storm chasers. And again, Sean's the same way with Mitch. Sean has been trained for many years. He's not going to put himself or anybody else in danger. He knows how to stay safe. So this is Sean Sweatman. And I'm not sure where he's at the moment, but we're going to try to get confirmation. Okay, he's turning south onto Main Street. So this is likely here in the city is where Sean likely is. And he is going to be intercepting these storms as it's coming on in. You can see the rain coming down. And again, we have had a couple reports of the hail that has been falling south of the city. And again, I'm looking at the radar I have over here. And again, we're looking at about 30 to 40 kilograms per cubic meter. And again, you don't need to know what that means. You just need to know that there could be some small, maybe medium-sized hail within this, maybe even upwards of 1 inch hail, depending on where you are. Understand the radar is estimating about 0.8 inches, close to that 1 inch threshold. So it doesn't mean you're going to see that 1 inch worth of hail. That just means that that's what the radar is estimating based on the radar algorithms. Jackson Hickey, who is on staff here as well, is saying that he's got hail pea size on Route 60 just south of the city. So again, there's also that hail core. Again, if we can pop back on the radar back behind me very quickly, I'll show you that very quickly, that second hail core that is coming up north of the city. It's this right here. So again, we have reports of pea-sized hail coming from this part of the storm. So notice how, there's like a split here. Kind of how the southern section we're dealing with hail, the northern section we're dealing with hail. So understand that's been a threat with these storms as well, along with the gusty winds has been the hail threat. So we are getting reports that there is hail falling within these storms. So understand 1-inch hail is generally what it takes to cause some damage to windows and property. So keep that in mind. So we're still looking at about 0.8 inches on the hail threat. Again, the radar is estimating maybe a little bit larger hail to the north. And again, understand these are radar estimates. That doesn't mean this is exactly what's going to be falling at the ground, but this is just radar estimates based on a mathematical algorithm that the radar uses to try to figure out hail sizes. So let's put on the reflectivity back and show you the main, and let's take that off, because we don't need that on there, and show you the main segment of our storm. So we're kind of being split here between these two segments of the storm. The southern leg coming through the southern section of Jamestown, basically from downtown north to the state line, going out towards Frewsburg. We have the secondary storm, which is coming up on top of the city of Jamestown from the city northward, going out towards Falconer, and then Route 60 going out like this to the north-northeast. More than likely, we're going to wait and see what the Weather Service does with this. We don't have any confirmation on what the Weather Service is going to do yet, but my opinion, they will likely extend this severe thunderstorm warning over into Cattaraugus County. They have not done that yet. But, and again, I'm watching the chat session we have with the National Weather Service in Buffalo, and we don't see anything yet on what they're going to do. Understand, this warning is set to expire at 7 o'clock. Likely at 7 o'clock, these storms will be into Cattaraugus County. We'll have to wait and see what the Weather Service does. They may opt to issue a special weather statement. Again, that's what they did initially. They opted to issue a special weather statement, and then they opted to issue the severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll have to wait and see what the Weather Service is going to do with this as we reach towards 7 o'clock. I would assume, I don't want to assume, but my gut opinion is they will probably extend the warning simply because we still have that hail threat. But again, what goes into the extension of a warning is reports. If the Weather Service hasn't had any reports of large hail or damaging winds, they may opt to not extend. So we'll just have to wait and see what they're going to do with this when the storm, and again, that's the newest radar sweep, the fresh sweep line. And again, you can see the storms are continuing to move to the north and northeast, or the east-northeast. And these are going to be moving into Cattaraugus County probably within the next 10-15 minutes. Again, these storms are moving at about 30 miles an hour. Again, that's city high, and again, that's city street speed, 30 miles an hour. Sometimes we can get these storms moving through here at 50, 60 miles an hour. But today, there's a little bit of a slower, a slow motion in the steering motion in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So these storms are not moving very fast today. So again, that also increases the flooding risk as well when you have these slow moving storms. Again, it's just like, basic science. I mean, the longer a storm sits over an area, the more rain that's going to fall. That's just, basic science. So, again, we're just waiting to see what the Weather Service will do. More than likely, the Weather Service is going to cancel this severe thunderstorm warning for Chautauqua County. Not cancel it. I don't want to say cancel because that sounds like the threat is over, but they're going to likely trim this to take out the westernmost areas, or they might opt to let it ride. After these storms move into Cattaraugus County, they may opt to drop the warning for Chautauqua County altogether. We'll just have to wait and see what they're going to do with this in a couple of minutes. But the storms are rapidly, not rapidly, they're moving towards Cattaraugus County. And again, the main core of the storms right now are over Frewsburg. You can see right here, I'll move the radar over so you can kind of see this better. So here's the line of the severe thunderstorm warning polygon. These storms are moving towards the east-northeast, and they're going to be coming up into Randolph, Salamanca, eventually reaching Olean, going out into Cattaraugus County. Now, let's take our storm chase video here. And this is, well, we might have just lost it again because I saw it was up, and just the second we take it, it of course goes down. So let's go back to the radar. I believe that was Mitch Billinger, by the way. So I believe that's who that camera was from. It's just how it always goes. When you take the camera, it goes down. So again, you know, we're gonna keep trying to reestablish his connection. Again, once you work out, and it looks like he's in Gary. That last image I saw, he was at that intersection in Gary at the county fair. Yeah, so this is likely where he's at that intersection of the county fair coming up into Gary near the cemetery that's up there. When you take 60 and you go into Fredonia, that cemetery that's right there by the intersection, that's likely. Okay, so the video is just back. And so it looks like he's going to go straight. And again, I want to say this is Mitch Billinger, I believe. And so again, you know, he's going to be intercepting these storms as it comes on in. And again, you know, it's the same thing that we had talked about how, you know, we talk about how we have to get these things on camera. Sometimes, you know, when you see something, you just react better instead of just seeing a radar image. He's heading to Ellington right now. So that is where he is going right now. He is heading towards Ellington right now. And yeah, that's going to be the core of these storms, again, coming up towards Frewsburg, coming up into Ellington, and just south of Cherry Creek, that corridor there between Frewsburg and Cherry Creek is where these storms are. So I'm just going to step out of the picture very quickly, just so that way you can get an idea of storms, of Mitch's storm chase. So again, this is coming from Mitch Billinger. He is on 60 heading towards Ellington. And that is a live image coming from Mitch Billinger. And again, he's one of our storm chasers. And again, the same thing we talked about. Please, 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 please do not go out and storm chase unless you've had the proper training. I know a lot of times people see these, you know, storm chase shows on TV and whatnot, but understand, you have to have the proper training in order to do this, because if you're not properly trained, you can get into trouble in a very quick hurry, and we don't want that. We don't want you putting your life or anybody else's life in danger just to get a picture of lightning or something. Your life is not worth that. No life is worth that. So please don't do that. And it looks like we might have lost Mitch's feed. So let's go back to radar, and I'll step back into the picture. Hello there. It's 6:50 coming up on 6:50 here. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter in the First Defense Weather Center, continuing to keep an eye on these severe storms that are moving basically now eastward into Cattaraugus County. The main action of the storms is now going to be moving basically from Frewsburg now to the east northeast. That's pretty much where these storms are going to be going. And again, we're just going to have to wait and see what the Weather Service is going to do with this. I have not seen, from the Weather Service, Chad, I have not seen any reports of damage from our end of the region. We do have a report of Niagara Falls of 0.7 inch hail. That's up near Niagara Falls. But so again, no reports of damage on our end so far. So understand, the same thing that we had talked about. Just because we haven't seen reports of damage doesn't mean there isn't damage. You know, sometimes it takes a while to get the reports. So, you know, the Weather Service knows that. Okay, so they are going to issue a special weather statement, and I think it just popped up. Yeah, you can see it here, this light tan shade polygon that you see right here is now a special weather statement. It is basically almost an extension of the severe thunderstorm warning. The Weather Service is believing, simply because, I want to say because we haven't had any reports, they are opting to issue that. And I want to say the max hail is, or the max wind is 40. So the special weather statement here that you see, they are going with a maximum hail size of about a ½ inch. Understand, you might see a little larger hail than a ½ inch. You might see a little less than a ½ inch. It's hail, so you want to keep that in mind. And the max wind gust could be around 40. Again, could be a little bit higher than that. 45, you could see that, but that's what the Weather Service is going with for now. So they are going to in 8 minutes, they are going to let the severe thunderstorm warning expire for Chautauqua County, and they are going to continue this special weather statement until 7:45. And the special weather statement, again, you know, the Weather Service is not believing that there's enough evidence here to warrant the severe thunderstorm warning. Again, the same thing that we talked about. Sometimes we sound like a broken record when we're in weather coverage because we constantly repeat ourselves. But, you know, we have to do that because people come and go during weather coverage. So, you know, in order for a storm to be severe, it has to be producing winds of 58 miles per hour or greater, hail 1 inch in size or larger, or a tornado. That is what makes a thunderstorm severe. And if there's just no signs of that, or no reports, the Weather Service will not issue a warning for it. And so that's likely why they've opted for the special weather statement, probably because we haven't had any reports yet coming on in suggesting that we have had problems. Understand, this storm came over Jamestown. So understand, you know, Jamestown is the largest population center in the county. So if we've had damage, I'm sure we would have heard about it by now. And, you know, obviously once you work out towards the west, it does get a little bit more rural. And again, you know, much of the southern tier in itself is rural. I mean, you know, that's one of the things that sometimes I think we forget is sometimes this is a very rural area. I mean, you know, we've got a lot of countryside, we've got a lot of farms, you know, outside of the big, you know, the bigger cities. So it's a lot more rural across this part of the area. So, you know, sometimes we forget that. In the box down below the radar, this is Mitch Billinger's live stream that you see down there. And again, Mitch is continuing on Route 60 heading towards Ellington. And again, he is on Gary Ellington Road heading east. And then again, he is going to be intercepting this storm where it's coming in. And so again, you know, the same thing that we talked about, how, you know, these storms are going to be moving on in. So basically, I can tell you, and I feel confident in saying this, if you're in Jamestown to the west, all the way back towards Panama, the weather is still horrible down across Panama and Corey. We've still got this heavy rain band coming on in, but your severe weather threat for now has ended. The severe thunderstorm warning, basically for all intents and purposes, is basically over with. This is, again, Mitch Billinger's live stream that you're seeing coming up into Ellington on Gary Ellington Road heading east. And so again, this is again Mitch Billinger. He's one of our storm chasers, and again, he's out there watching these storms for us and giving us the video back, which is very crucial when we are doing weather coverage. It's very crucial to have the video coming back from the storm chasers and also from the cameras that we have across the region. Getting a storm report in from Corey. Weather Service reports several trees down in pea-sized hail at about 5:56. So again, that was that southern leg of the storm that was coming on through, and we still could have some hail falling in Corey right now. And again, the VIL on that is approaching almost 40 kilograms per cubic meter. So again, there could be some hail there. It looks like Mitch Billinger is now crossed onto New York 62 on State Route 62. And so again, you know, we're just going to keep with his live stream because again, you know, same thing that we've talked about. Seeing is believing. I mean, you know, I can stand up here in front of this giant green wall and point at radar signatures all day long. But the main point is what you're seeing in that, you know, on your screen right now is real live video coming back from the field. And that's the one thing that sometimes, you know, we really need is that live video coming back because, you know, the live video helps to confirm what we're seeing. And it also helps you to understand or to confirm that what we're talking about is actually happening. So that's why the live video is very, very important. So essentially the severe thunderstorm warning is going to expire in 4 minutes. But for all intents and purposes, the severe thunderstorm warning is over with for all intents and purposes because it's now basically been replaced with that special weather statement that goes out towards Randolph. We're already getting a report that it's thundering in Randolph now as well. And I don't know if we can do this. I'm going to make it hard for our director back in the back. But if we can take the Randolph Skycam very quickly, I just want to show what that looks like. I'm going to make it tough for our director back in the back. So if we can't do it, that's okay. But I just wanted to see what the Randolph Skycam looked like and see if we had that. But and again, if we don't, that's okay. We can go without it. It's no big deal. But I just was interested to see what that looked like. So again, these storms are moving out of Chautauqua County. Okay, it looks like we have it. So again, if we can take that, thank you. Yeah, you can see the rain coming on in, the dark clouds coming in on Randolph. And again, this is at Randolph Peaches and Cream, which is basically right across from Whedon Park, which is almost in downtown Randolph. And so again, these clouds are coming right on in. You can see the rain falling at the camera site. And again, within this line of storms, you could see, again, some gusty winds. And again, we're talking gusty winds likely of about 40 miles an hour, maybe some small hail, upwards of maybe about a ½ inch, maybe a little bit larger. And again, I believe the Weather Service chose not to extend the severe thunderstorm warning, likely because we haven't had reports of any damage. That was probably the main reason why they opted to just issue a special weather statement instead of a severe thunderstorm warning. But that doesn't mean one couldn't be issued later on. I mean, you know, we're going to be here watching these, so we'll let you know on that. But for now, essentially in 1 minute, about a minute and a half, the severe thunderstorm warning, this yellow polygon, if we can go to a double box of the Randolph Skycam and the radar, thank you very much. This yellow polygon you see back here, in about 1 minute, that'll be off the board and the severe thunderstorm warning will be allowed to expire. It's essentially over now, but we're going to wait it out until 7 o'clock just because that's the official expiration time. So at 7 o'clock, you're going to see that orange polygon going away, and we're going to have this tan polygon left to deal with, which is basically just that special weather statement issuing again for strong winds, again, maybe upwards of 40 miles an hour. Again, notice the forward motion on these to the northeast at about 35 miles an hour. So again, moving along at a city's pace, almost city speed limit pace. So again, the longer the storms sit over an area, the more rain you're going to see. So again, that's why some localized flooding has been a threat throughout the day, with the winds as well, because of the slow forward motion. So again, in the double box, you're seeing the Randolph Peaches and Cream Skycam back behind the radar imagery. And in about right now, you've seen that orange polygon pop off. So the severe thunderstorm warning is over. Now we just have this special weather statement that's in effect for western and then central Cattaraugus County, which includes the city of Randolph. It also includes Salamanca going all the way out to Olean. And it is for this cluster of storms that is now coming out of Chautauqua County. And again, nothing severe here at the moment, but we are still dealing with some heavy rainfall, some gusty winds, and some large hail. But for now, because we have no severe weather warnings right now, we are going to end our coverage, but we're going to stay here throughout this whole event, and we're going to keep our eyes on it. We've got everybody here today. We're going to keep our eyes on it, and we're going to let you know through the afternoon and the early evening as these storms continue to progress on to the east-northeast. And again, that's a live look from the Randolph Peaches and Cream Skycam, showing you the rain moving on in, along with some of the lightning strikes as well. So for now, this is Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter live in the First Defense Weather Center. Make sure you have a way of getting warnings and stay safe this afternoon.
This is a First Defense Weather Alert.